Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Today we're doing the top 5 cards from each color for Wilds of Eldraine for Constructed. So today I'm going to be going over what I believe are the top 5 cards for Constructed play, mostly for Standard, but other formats as well, in each color. So we're going to go ahead and get this going, start off with the top 5 white cards. Alright, coming at number 5, we have the Werewolf Bodyguard. This is a 3-mana 2/2 with flash. That when it comes to play, it exiles another non-fox creature until it leaves the battlefield, and we can sacrifice the fox to gain 2 life. This is basically just another like Fiend Hunter type card. These cards are always seen play, but this one has a slight upside in that it has flash and has a relevant creature types in that it is a elf, fox, knight, but it being a knight is relevant, and it being an elf is also relevant as well. So that comes in as a number 5. Coming in number 4, I know it's kind of like color break. We're doing a hybrid card. It is Pollen Shield Hair. I'm doing this because I want to also have good multicolored cards too at the end. But so I know it's technically a green-white card, but we're going to count it as a white card. Pollen Shield Hair is a 2/2 creature that gives all your creature tokens +1/+1. So it's like an anthem for your tokens. And this has a sorcery speed ability called Hair Raising that says target creature you control gets +X/+X on the turn, and Vigilance works the number of tokens you control. I think this will allow us to play a token archetype with things like Wedding Announcement, Join the Dance, Rabble Rousing, etc. Coming up next is Heartflame Duelist. It's a human knight, so great typing. 3/1 for 2 mana, and it says instant sorcery spells you control have lifelink. That's fine. It's not too exciting, but it is a 2-mana 3/1 with a spell on the other side, which is like the adventure, which is a Heartflame Slash, which is 3 mana instant and deals 3 damage to anything. So Lightning Strike for one more mana, but you also can use it as a 2-drop, or later in the game you can use it as both. And in an aggressive matchup, the lifelink can matter, especially with your future Heartflame Duelists. All right, coming in at number 2 is the Regal Bunnycorn. This is the aptly named White Termagoyf we've seen so far from the set. It is a 2-mana 2/2, and it says its power and toughness are each equal to the number of non-land cards, non-land permanents you control. So by itself, it's a 1/1. If you have like enchantments, other creatures, artifacts, whatever, it will grow. And in a world of wicked rolls and tokens, this card I think is going to be played and very good. It's going to be the White Termagoyf for Standard for sure. Coming at number 1, we have the Spellbook Vendor. It's a 2-mana 2/2 with Vigilance. It is kind of like a Luminarch Aspirant in that way with ability. However, you do have to pay 1, but it does say at the beginning of your turn, you may pay 1 mana. When you do, make a Sorcerer roll token and attach it to creature control. And the sorcerer roll token says when the creature gets +1/+1, and whenever it attacks, you can describe 1. So I think this is a great card that will grow your team. It will help you find cards that you need. It's just overall a very solid and good card, and that's my number 1 card for white. Moving on to blue, coming number 5 is going to be Farsight Ritual. This is like Memory Deluge. You look up 4 cards, you can bargain it, and when you bargain it, you sacrifice an artifact or enchantment or a token, and you can look at the top 8 cards instead of the top 4. I think Memory is better overall, but if your deck's making a bunch of tokens or a bunch of enchantments, and you can bargain heavily, and you're looking for a certain card, this is a great way to like dig really deep for a card you really want. So Memory is better than a longer game, but this is has niche for finding cards that you want right now, and if your deck has ways to sacrifice. Coming in number 4 is Spell Stutter. I do think the fairy archetype will be a thing. We got a lot of good fairies, and if not, I'm sure it'll go support, but it's really close. I think Spell Stutter will be the core element of that deck. It's 2-mana instant, says basically quench. So counter target spell unless the controller plays 2 mana. and one for more for each fairy you control. So it can be like at worst it's a quench, at best it's like at best it's just counterspell, but it can vaguely be mana leak, and so on and so forth. Next up we have Horned Lock Whale. This is a 6 mana 6/6 with Flash Ward 2, and if you cast it on your opponent's turn, it comes to play tapped. It has a removal spell called Lagoon Breach, where you pay 2 mana on an attacking creature, and the owner puts it either on top or bottom of the library. So kind of like a removal spell. And then you can cast the backside as a 6/6 attacker. It seems like a solid removal spell / threat. I don't think it's crazy by any means, but it is a nice way to have a solid threat and a solid removal spell. Not like excellent removal spell or excellent finisher, but it's both cards in one, which makes it a good card in my book. Last but not least, we also have the Sleep Cursed Fairy. This is a 1 mana 3/3 with Flying Ward 2 and a battlefield with 3 stone counters on it, and it has the ability to untap it for 2 mana. This card I think is just great, even like on early on, and if you're playing a flash deck, it's not too hard to just if your opponent is doing anything, just pay a couple mana to untap it and remove some counters from it, making it a threat. And it's also a combo piece. I'm sure with Agatha's Soul Cauldron you can do something silly with it, make it give mana and untap it and just go off with it. But I think it's great. It's a great combo piece, and it's a great tempo threat. Coming number 1 is going to be Sleight of Hand for me. This is 1 mana sorcery. Look type of cards of your library, put them into your hand, another bottom your library. It's just a great way to dig through your deck without drawing cards, which we know is kind of scary in a world of Sheoldred, especially in older formats with Boymasters. It's just a nice way to dig for a card you want without having to play something like Opt or Consider in a world where you get punished very heavily for drawing cards. And it can go in mid-range, control, any kind of deck. It's just a very flexible card that can go in almost anywhere. All right, next up are the black cards, and we're going to start number 5 is the Witch's Vanity. This reminds me a little bit of the Elspeth Conqueror's not Elspeth Conqueror's Death, Elspeth's Nightmare. So it comes into play, destroys a creature with mana value 2 or less. Charter 2 makes a food token, and 3 gives you a Wicked Roll token, pumping a creature, growing it, and allowing it to attack for more damage. So this removal spell gives you a food token, and it gives you value on your creature, which I really like. Coming in number 4, I think this card is also underrated. It's called The End. It's a black spell that says this spell costs 2 less if your life total is 5 or less, and it exiles a target creature or planeswalker and gets all the same ones in opponent's graveyard, hand, and their library. It's a great way to deal with Sheoldred. I feel like decks can no longer just play 4 Sheoldreds, and that'd be the only threats they have. Because even like Fort Teferi, Hero Dominaria, I think this can change the game, because if one of these resolves, it's going to be pretty brutal. I think we'll see decks moving to maybe 3 Sheoldred or 2 Sheoldred, and just diversifying their threats, just because this card exists, and this card can be a backbreaker if you're like just all in on Sheoldred. Next up, we have Lore Skitter's Blessing. It's a 2 mana card. This is like a friction arena for 2 mana. It says with ETBs, create a Wicked Roll token attached to your creature control. The creature gets +1/+1, and when the order is put in the graveyard, the opponent loses 1 life. It says at the beginning of your draw step, if you control an enchanted creature, you lose 1 life and you draw an additional card. This is just fantastic. It's a pump spell for a creature. It curves really well with a card we're about to see, and it's just in a good deck, it's going to be a 2 mana friction arena. And the Blessing curves really well into our next card, which is Spiteful Hexmage. This is a 1 mana 3/2. This ETBs create a Cursed Roll token attached to a creature you control, which can be it. So if you play the Hexmage and then you play the Blessing, you'll actually on turn 2 you'll have a 4/3 for 1 mana that is drawing you cards and attacking. If they remove it, they're going to lose life. And also the token that's attached to it can be sacrificed to other bargain cards like removal spells, like the red removal spell for 1 mana. It's just overall a great card. And I think this card is kind of a sleeper, honestly. Coming number 1, I think it's no surprise. It's going to be Beseech the Mare. This is a 4 mana card that lets you 2 to 4 card. If you bargained it, and the card you 2 to 4 is 4 or less, you can put it right into play. You can cast it. Obviously, this is fantastic for Shieldred. This is very much like a Bring to Light for black, except Bring to Light couldn't do Planeswalkers. This can, so obviously not like exactly like Bring to Light. You can't like Tibalt into or Valkyrie into Tibalt, but it's still very good. It's an excellent card for black decks because it costs 2 black, so it's you need to be pretty heavily in black to use it, but it is a very powerful card. Next up are our red cards. We're going to start off with the top 5 with this Charming Scoundrel. Is a 2 mana 1/1 with haste. When ETBs, you get to either loot, discard a card and draw a card, make a treasure token, or make a wicked roll token attached to it or another creature, basically making it 2/2 haster. That when it dies, it's going to drain your opponent, which is pretty good. It's pretty good for 2-drop. Reminds me of like the Touring Prince, which maybe this is like kind of is a nod to. Coming number 4, we have Scalding Viper. It is a Eidolon of the Great Revels, but a 2/1 kind of, right? And if opponent casts a mana spell that costs a spell costs 3 or less, Viper is going to do 1 damage to him. And it also has Steam Clean, which is Disperse, returns a non-permanent to the owner's hand. It is sorcery speed, but again, the fact that it can do both sides is powerful and versatile. I think this is all. This is my sleeper red card. Next is called Monstrous Rage. So this card, it's 1 mana. It gives a creature +2/+0 till end of turn, and on top of that, it gives it a monster roll. This is an enchantment, a roll token that says enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and trample. So essentially, this gives a creature +3/+1 and trample, and leaves it with a 1/1 token with trample. That's pretty good. This is one of the best giant growths we've seen. It gives trample as well. It leaves a token around. It makes blocking awkward if you try and trump block a creature that's big. This is just. I think it seems to be a limited card, but it can be a burn spell as well. Just a very good card overall. Next up is Hurt Elemental. It's a 6 mana 4/5. And it says the spell costs X less to cast for X number of cards in your graveyard that are instant cards, sorcery cards, and or have an adventure. So it's kind of like the Tolarian Terror. It's 4/5. However, it has another ability, adventure ability. So discard your hand for 2 mana and then draw 2 cards. This is great. I feel like it'll go great into like a spell deck, an Izzet deck even, being 1 mana 4/5, and then late game just being able to just pitch it, or just discard your hand, draw 2 cards, and pay 1 mana to get into play. Just overall a very solid card. Coming number 1, mine is going to be Decadent Dragon. This is a 4 mana 4/4 flying trample. Whenever it attacks, you make a treasure token. And the adventure side it's called Expensive Taste. It's 3 mana, 1 black, 2 colorless, and it's exiles top 2 cards of your opponent's library face down, and you may look and play the exiled cards. People were kind of like going nuts, not nuts, but like being, oh, divination is instant speed now, so cool. Well, this one is the divination for black. The draws are our opponent's deck, and sure, you can't spend any mana to spend them, but this dragon is also a threat that makes treasures, and you are likely to hit a land from one of those 2 cards, or from your future dragons. So if you're playing this, like, let's say like a blue deck, you're likely to hit a blue source at some point because decks have like 20+ lands in them, right? So you're more likely to hit a land than anything else. So it kind of fuels itself, and I feel like that card is it's really good in Rakdos or black red X decks. All right, starting at number 5 for green, we have Mosswood Dread Knight. This is a 2 mana 3/2 for trample. This is when it dies, you may cast it from your graveyard as an adventure spell until the end of your next turn. An adventure spell is sorcery speed, 2 mana. You draw 1 card and lose 1 life. This is just a great. It's also a Human Knight. Human Knight's also relevant typing. And it's just a great grind card. It's a perfect Golgari card. It draws cards. It's a solid body for 2 mana. It recurs itself. It's just a very good way to grind the game out. And if the world isn't filled with Atraxes and Atalis and stuff like that, then this is a solid card just to grind up. Next up, we have Up the Beanstalk. This card is 2 mana. It says when ETBs, you draw a card. And when you cast a spell with mana value 5 or more, you draw a card. I think this is really good in Modern, obviously. You play it, you draw a card. Then you have things like Solitude or just Fury or the Elementals, essentially, right? You pitch a card to play them, get their ability, and then if they replace themselves, you draw a card. It's just seems just very, very powerful there. It's also very good with things like Leyline Binding, right? Leyline Binding costs 1 mana, but however, it still has a mana value of 6. So if you pay 1 mana to just remove anything from anything in play, and you draw a card, making it great. And like, heaven forbid you have 2 of these in play, right? And you play Leyline Binding, you just draw 2 cards, and it's like, and you kill something. And it's just, you can get out of hand pretty quickly. So any card that can reduce its cost, like, it still has the high mana value is powerful. Even like a Hearth Elemental or whatever. So it's going to be good in decks like that. Next up is going to be Thunderous Debut. This is 8 mana, has Bargain, which you want to bargain this card every time if possible. So look at the top 20 cards of your library. You may build up to 2 creature cards from among them. If it's Bargain, you put them into play. Otherwise, you put them in your hand. This is great. Obviously, going to be great with things like Atali and Atraxa. Even hitting 2 Atalis is fine. Or hitting an Atali and like a Elish Norn, other machines. This is just ramp up into your big boys and get 2 of them in play and just end the game. So this is, or even like in older formats, I guess you can debut into like a Xenagos and a Worldspine Worm or something. Some sort of like tooth and nail combo. Two creature cards that will end the game. All right, coming on number 2 is probably my favorite card in the set, Blossoming Tortoise. It's not necessarily the best card, but I really like it. It's been good. I've enjoyed playing it in early access. It's a 4 mana 3/3. When ATBs or attacks, you mill 3 cards, then return a land card from graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Right? This is great with lands that like fetch lands, or just playing by itself is great. Or lands that cycle. It gives all land creatures you control +1/+1. This works with Wake in the Woods. Obviously, any creature land works too. And it says activate abilities of lands you control cost 1 to activate, allowing you to animate lands for cheaper. Or I'm sure there's some sort of combo you can do with these. We can make a land activate for cheap. I know there's one we can like. There's some fire breathing card you can enchant land with. It gives a fire breathing and flying, and the fire breathing becomes 0 because it means it costs 1 less. So you can just fire breathe your opponent to death. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's a thing, right? I do wish I had a slightly bigger butt. But anyways, coming on number 1 is our friendly raccoon boy. It's Bramble Familiar. 2 mana 2/2. You can tap it, add mana, and then you can tap it, and 2 mana discard a card from your hand to return this card to your hand. And this is one that you want to do that with because it has a big adventure side, which is called Fetch Quest. It's getting a quest from the Questing Beast. Who knows? Costs 7 mana, mill 7 cards, then you put a creature, enchantment, or land from among the cards on the battlefield. Obviously, great with any big creature like a Traxa or a Tali. It's great with enchantments and standard, like, one with the multiverse or, any of the virtues. And hitting a land is obviously, you don't want to hit a land, but that's kind of missing. But at least if you land, you hit something. Still kind of, sad, but this card is great though. It's a mana creature that ramps. It's a finisher, and one that you can rebuy. Your opponent is going to be hard pressed. Like if you play this and you get a big creature, and then you cast it on the other side, your opponent has to kill the big creature, your threat, and kill the raccoon, so you don't get more value out of it. I think that's going to be pretty sweet. All right, moving on to the multicolored cards. Coming at number 5, I have your. Forgive me for saying his name, probably saying correctly. Elrite of the Charmed Apple. It's 3 mana for 2/4. It says each creature that's enchanted by an aura you control can attack you or planeswalkers you control. I think this is very solid with role tokens. You can give your opponents rolls or whatever, and this is no longer going to attack you. And it has a very powerful ability. It has a beginning of your end step. Each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life for X number of auras you control. This is a huge drain effect. very good for an enchantment type strategy. And it's a 2/4, giving it a great body. Not being through toughness is very solid. I think this card's sweet. And it's also one of the better cards to build around, right? All right, coming from number 4, we have Likeness Looter. This is a fairy shapeshifter. 2 mana for 1/1. They can loot. You can tap out loot a card. Or you can play X and it becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with mana like X, except it has flying and it has this ability. You can only activate as a sorcery. But that's pretty powerful. Like it loots, it can attack, it can become a huge threat in the graveyard that you put removed, maybe a Shieldred or whatever. Just a very solid fairy. Next up we have Ruby Daring Tracker. 2 mana for 1/2 haste. This says whenever Ruby Daring Tracker attacks, while you control a creature with power 4 or more, she gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So it becomes a 3/4. So it's a mana creature that can also be a threat. Also has haste, can be aggressive, great for Gruul strategies. We've really pushed the boundary, really pushing the boundaries on mana creatures this set. I feel like, and I kind of like that. Like the Brainwell Familiar plus the Ruby is super solid. Coming number 2, I do think fairies is very close to being a thing, if not a thing. We have Oibra the Dreaming Duelist, Fairy Dreaming Duelist. All right, 2 mana 2/2 flash flying. Whenever another fairy enters the battlefield under control, each opponent loses 1 life. A great way to drain your opponent out. She itself is a 2/2 flyer, which is fine, but that ability is pretty powerful, and will slowly kill your opponent over time and give you reach. All right, and then finally, last up is going to be the Goose Mother. All right, honk honk. This is a blue green X 2/2. This is flying, and the Goose Mother when it ETBs you make ETBs X plus counters on it, and when ETBs you make half XP tokens run it up, and never attacks you may sacrifice a food. If you do, draw a card. Obviously, this is not a Hydra Crisis. I think overall it is worse than Hydra Crisis. But that being said, I do think it's still very good. Like being able to pay 3 mana for a 3/3 flyer that makes a token, and the next time you attack, you draw a card is solid. And then from there, you know, it can just get bigger. Like playing a crisis for 3 mana is a 1/1. There's nothing, right? Goose Mother for 3 mana is still a 3/3 that makes a food token that can draw a card next turn. Obviously, very good against. Can be good against like burn 2, stabilize. We can make a bunch of tokens late game and gain some life or draw some cards. I do like this card. I don't, again, not as crazy as Hydra Crisis, but I don't think it has to be. I think it's still going to be a solid card. It's not going to be like absurd like Crisis, but it's still a solid card overall. All right, and then we're going to finish up with the artifacts and lands. Just combining these two. Coming in number 5, we have the Edgewall Inn. This ETB's tapped. And when it comes to play, you choose a color as we don't have any color. And it has a cool ability which says sacrifice this card, return a target card that has an adventure from your graveyard to your hand. So basically you get to regrow a card from your graveyard for pretty cheap. And it fixes mana. I think if we had an adventure deck, this is just a great one to have like as one of your deck. It's not, it adds any card mana you want to. It doesn't play tap, but it does fix your mana too, which I really like. Climate number 4 is going to be Agatha's Soul Cauldron. The 2-mana artifact, legendary. Says you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Sure. It says creatures you control with +1/+2 counters on them have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Then it has an ability that says tap it, exile target card from a graveyard. When a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, giving all the abilities of obviously all the creatures as exiled with a cauldron. This is obviously this is a combo card. You can exile things that untap or things that add mana or things that do silly things and just combo off and win the game. But it's also a unlicensed hearse that, because the tap ability exiles any card. It doesn't have to be a creature. It says if it is a creature, you get to put one on your creature. I think people are overlooking that part. Like at worst, it's just a hearse that exiles like one card less, exiles cards. And at best, it's a combo card, or it's growing creatures, or it's giving your creatures abilities of some busted other creatures, right? So obviously, this card is best in a combo deck or deck that can abuse the ability, but at worst, it's still Graveyard Hate, which I think is really sweet. It makes it a powerful card. Next up is going to be the Iron Crag. It's been a long time since we had two mana rock. That's actually playable and good. The Iron Crag is 2 mana and adds one colorless mana. It's an artifact, legendary artifact. It says whenever legendary creature enters the battlefield you control, you may have the Iron Crag become a legendary equipment artifact named Everflame Hero's Legacy. If you do, it gains equip 3, and equipped creature gets +3/+3 and loses all other abilities. The Iron Crag loses all abilities, another creature. So basically you can place on 2, place Shielded on 3, have a 7/8 Shielded in play. You need a 7/8 Shielded? Why not? But at worst, it's just a mana rock that ramps you, right, for 2 mana, which I think is very good. All right, coming in at number 4 is going to be Sir Ginger the Meal Ender. We've seen Ginger in the last Eldraine, where her boyfriend got eaten by Garrick. She's back. She's mad. She's a food knight. 2 mana 3/1. It says Sir Ginger the Meal Ender has trample, hexproof, and haste as long as the opponent controls a planeswalker. She really hates planeswalkers, and she really hates Garrick. So she gets haste, trample, and hexproof if the opponent controls a planeswalker. It says whenever another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you put a counter on her, and you can describe one, kind of like Arcbound Ravager in a way. And then she's a food, so you can sacrifice her, and you gain life equal to a power. You can eat her if you want, but don't do that. Okay, she's mad. She's mad at all planeswalkers. Super great card. It is colorless, which makes it even better, right? You can go anything. It's a knight, so that's great. Coming number 1, I think it's no surprise. It's just going to be all the creature lands. I don't want to make this just top 5 creature lands. They're all good. Obviously, they fix mana. They become creatures to kill your opponent. They're just very, very good. We will see these. We'll see play as long as the color combo exists in standard. These cards are staples. Very, very, very good. We will see them even older formats too. Just excellent cards. I'm glad we have ways to mana sink our mana into creatures as well. So we'll have things like the Hive, the Eye Tyrant too, and these dual ones too. So mana actually matters a lot now. So because you have creatures that can attack the opponent. But yeah, that is it for me. That is it for all the cards. Hope you enjoyed it, and make sure if you buy these cards, you can use code OLLIE5. It's a 5% off your order, and you also get a sweet now it's treasure token, so check that out. You can watch live sometime over at twitch.tv/OllieEldrazi, and you can watch my videos over at youtube.com/OllieEldrazi as well, and on this channel. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate y'all. Hope you have a wonderful day, night, morning, wherever you are. I'll catch you next time. Peace.